Aries. For you, the frustration for this week comes at work. You have Mars square Pluto on November 5th, activating some frustration for you at your workplace. You want to have the freedom to express yourself, and some structures might feel a little too limiting and a little unsupportive now. And so you want to make the space for yourself to be able to have some more creativity, have a little bit more openness, and allow some inspiration back into your life. Be careful about how you communicate this frustration to others. If you still want to work where you're working, you've got to figure out how to open up some doors without needing to bust them through with that very typical Aries impulsiveness. And so the way to do this is to really talk about what's happening for yourself, specifically with a collaborator or a superior with whom you have a good relationship. These are the type of people that you want to say what is your personal experience and what you need to shift in order to see some changes. And if you do this well, then you should be able to shift some structures at your workplace for everyone, not only yourself, which is due because I can see here that you have Saturn sextile Neptune also in your house of work. And so this means that some of the structures need to shift, not only for you, but for everyone. So you can definitely be the leader of change at your particular workplace if you figure out how to communicate the struggle that you're having with the structures in a productive manner. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Tauro. For you this week, I see a bit of frustration with your daily grind, with your daily routine, especially on November 5th, when Mars is sextile Pluto. You might have some inspiration about certain daily patterns that you would like to shift. The solution for this lies outside of your normal circle of influence and of social connections. So if you have a partner, a best friend, a group of people that you literally hang out with every single day or every single week, in and out, you're not actually receiving any new inspiration and any new ideas for ways to do something different. You need to step outside that circle this week, especially around the 8th, and allow somebody new to step into your life and show you a new way of doing things. Maybe be inspired by their gym routine or what they do for work or how they tackle certain creative problems. The thing is, you need some inspiration and it's gonna come from somewhere new. So be open to new inspiration and new people this week. And towards the end of the week, around the 9th or 10th, when you decide to try something new and take a big leap, take your close ones with you, especially a partner or a boo who is going to feel really left out if you don't take them along. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Géminis. This week, you might be feeling a bit of frustration around a certain project that you'd really like to lift up off the ground, but someone in your life is just not expressing the kind of enthusiasm that you need in order to make it happen. Be really careful about plans that you have with someone else. When you're depending on a collaborator or a friend or a partner in order to make a certain plan happen, you're gonna have to wait for them to be ready. Look to November 5th, especially if you're feeling this frustration, and I'll tell you what I think the solution is to this problem. At this particular time, you're being asked to give of yourself a bit more. So what I mean by this is, say you have plans with a partner that you want to go on a trip or you want to start a new house project and they need to give their half of the resources in order to make this happen, and they're just really dragging their feet. I feel like one of the things that might be happening is you have to front that particular half of the money, or you have to front that particular resource in order to make it happen. There needs to be a little bit more generosity right now, especially if you are working with someone. You've got to meet them where they're at. If you are able to pull these resources together and make this project happen, this generosity is going to be paid back tenfold, because by the 9th, you are going to be incorporating this idea of generosity into your life. When you give someone of yourself, you also receive that back. They will pay you back. They will give the resources back, but also you're going to learn about reciprocity. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Cáncer. This week, you may be feeling very chill, very relaxed, and very much like you want to sit back and enjoy the week. And someone in your life might be asking for you to rise up to an occasion, to participate in some event that's been prearranged, to go on a trip that you agreed to do earlier, or to generally move yourself in a much more energetic way than you actually want to be doing right now. And instead of reacting with a lot of defensiveness or with your outer shell, I highly suggest that you allow for some more intimate processing and intimate communication with this particular person. And so I would really encourage you to share what's going on for you right now and think about why you'd rather be on the couch than outdoors. Is there something coming up for you now? Do you associate this particular time of the year with certain memories or patterns that are really hard for you and that you'd rather sit at home than face in the outer world? Whatever it is that's coming up for you, I highly suggest that you communicate it, especially around the 8th or 9th, when you're highly likely to close up into a shell instead of allowing some more intimacy in. It can be really difficult, especially if you haven't established that level of communication with that particular person before, but it is really important that you try to do so now. Communication is the key for you, and you will find a lot more support and a lot more energy available for you now if you can bring that level of honesty to yourself, do some self-inventory, figure out what's coming up for you, and then share it with those that depend on you. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Leo, you've been a very busy Leo this year, Leo. And this particular week, I need you to pay attention to your body. The Mars sextile Pluto transit that happens right at the beginning of this week on November 5th is for you going to activate how you feel in your body, and specifically energetically, the relationship between the psychic material, the emotional material in your life, and the physical embodiment of that in your being. And so a small pain in your back at the beginning of this week can turn into a full body revolt by the end of this week if you're not careful. So instead of pushing forward and pushing past your own personal and physical limits, I suggest you take some rest and you really think about what it is that you're trying to avoid. Because I'll be honest, even me as an Aries, I know when I'm going full throttle constantly and I don't even schedule time for myself to chill, I'm avoiding something. And so this week might be a really good time to figure out if you are avoiding anything at this time. Are you still holding on to grief about a past relationship? Are you still really sad about a certain person that is no longer in your life? Are you still reconciling with some of the partnerships and some of the relationships that you have in your life that haven't gone very well? Instead of trying to work yourself through everything and just push everything aside, I highly suggest you take some time this week to sit with yourself and to do an inventory. Have your family or kin or friendships that feel really intimate and that you really trust hold space for you this week. Ask for people to hold space for you as you work through this particular personal inventory, because especially right now, as Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio, this will not be an easy time, but it's a necessary time. And if you're able to figure out what it is deep inside of you that you're trying to ignore, and you can pull it up to the surface now, you'll find that you have plenty of support to move through it. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Virgo. This week, I suggest that you take some time reviewing the expectations that you have for others in your life and the way that those expectations reflect on yourself. You're spending a lot of time right now building up resources in your life. That's time, that's money, that's energy, but that is especially money because we're in a capitalist society. And so a lot of us can spend a lot of time building up a lot of money and stockpiling a lot of resources and not really feeling connected to the work that we do in order to do that, and the time that we spend focusing on particular rituals and practices that we're not actually connected to. And that is what capitalism does. So this week, if you find yourself feeling really empty inside, despite all of the resources that you've generated for yourself, you might want to take a look at the expectations that you have for others in your life and the ways that those reflect on yourself. because as you push yourself into these new areas that don't feel inspiring, that don't feel resonant, and you're doing it for very particular reasons, you're also expecting others in your life to do the same. And so you might be really disappointed with people in your life who don't espouse the same belief system you do, who don't work towards the same goals that you have, and whose energy and projects don't align with your own. And instead of being able to accept that difference in other people, you might feel very judgy or very critical or very anti and want to push them away. And some of the reasons for that might actually be because their way of life threatens your structure. It threatens your reality, and it threatens what you expect of yourself. And you're constricting your own creative process by having these expectations on yourself. So if you find yourself in this position this week, take a moment to look at how you think about others, because that is a reflection of how you think about yourself. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Libra. You might encounter some issues this week, Libra, with a particular project that you're trying to get up off the ground. And the people that are going to offer the opposition are literally family members, housemates, or project situations at home. So in particular, what's coming up now is that what you're trying to move forward isn't necessarily in alignment with your own roots and your history. It's not taking into account the things that actually keep you stable and grounded and connected to the people around you. And instead, you're focusing on things that are more about aesthetics or about the exterior of the world or about having certain stability that is in the form of resources. And instead of taking into account the full picture, you're focusing on a particular part of the picture. And people in your life who care about you are going to bring this to your attention. And it's gonna feel like a block because certain people that you count on for their support are gonna be like, not this time. And here's why. And instead of trying to fight them on the particular reasons that they have for not supporting this particular project that you're trying to get up off the ground, you've got to take the time to listen and to really trust people in your life who care about you and who have particular mirrors to show you where you are not paying attention. And so this week, if you encounter problems, especially problems at home or with family, take the moment to really listen and take into account what is being offered to you. Because what we need is for you to integrate the whole picture instead of focusing on a particular outcome that you really need right now. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Scorpio. This week, there could be some misunderstandings between you and someone you really care about. This could be a partner, this could be a date, this could be a friend, or this could even be a housemate. But in one way or another, around the 5th of November, we're gonna have some misunderstandings come into play. We could blame a lot of things. Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, Mars square Pluto, the upcoming Saturn sextile Neptune transit. All of these are really pointing to the issue that we're having right now, which is a miscommunication that triggers for you some anger and some frustration because you're tired of being misread and misunderstood by people. And so instead of taking this particular situation for what it is, there's a really high key chance that you're going to expand it into this narrative about how everyone in your life doesn't read you correctly, misunderstands you, has these ideas about Scorpios that they project onto you, and now you're the bad guy all the time. And you're gonna react to that much larger narrative instead of that particular situation that's coming up right now. So instead of reacting right away, take a moment to step back and think about how that particular situation is triggering a particular narrative that you have about how people misread you and what that means about you as a person. And focus on your long-term goals for yourself. In this moment, do you want to react to that particularly long and painful narrative, or do you want to figure out how to move through in a way that can actually come up with some resolution, not only for this particular situation, but for yourself? If there are certain things about you that you feel are being misread, how can you counter them with behavior instead of with an argument? Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Sagittario. Of all the signs this week, you are going to have one of the best opportunities for advancement this week. And it's going to come particularly from someone in your social network or social scene. As you expand who you talk to and expand your connections, you're going to have an opportunity rise this week that is exactly what you've been waiting for. Perhaps it's a new project that you've been having on the back burner that you need someone to work on it with, and they all of a sudden arise out of nowhere this week. Or somebody that you meet this week is really going to inspire you to start that new project that you've been working on and add to it in a way that you really like. Unfortunately, we are in a Mercury retrograde season. So even though this is a really good opportunity, you're gonna have to take some time away from it and make sure that everything is in alignment. A lot of people this week might express to you their doubt about whether you should jump right in, which might be your first impulse because you're a fire sign like I am. And for me, when there's a new opportunity on the rise, I'm like, boop, I'm gonna take it. But I'm gonna tell you this week, this is probably not the best time to take the opportunity. And you're gonna have people in your life who are gonna tell you this is probably not the best opportunity, or this is probably not the thing you think it is. And so even though everything inside of you is telling you to go for it, I'm gonna tell you to take a moment and review everything that's happening right now to make sure that you're actually taking the opportunity that you deserve. Because if you take on anything less than what you feel is truly worthwhile, you're gonna regret it in the long run. And especially if you initiate something new right now, chances are high that by December 9th, when Mercury comes out of retrograde, you're gonna have to redo that contract anyways. So instead of jumping full force into that particular opportunity right now, take a break, listen to the people around you, and make sure to work out the details, maybe even prolong the contract process, and make sure that every single thing is in place before you move forward. You will be very glad you did. Good luck. Con mucho amor. Capricornio. You are doing so well at work, meeting all those deadlines, hitting all those goals, continuing to set new ones, pushing straight forward. And this week, there might be a question that comes up. Do you like who you're becoming? Because when you take on these particular roles, these jobs at work, these things that you're moving forward, you become the person that needs to make that work happen. And so literally when you take on new responsibilities and put on a new role, you also incorporate a new way of being. And so even though you might be good at something, do you really like who you become when you're good at it? This might be a really big and important question this week, especially around November 5th and 8th, when a very simple feedback from someone in your life, say somebody who's like, yeah, I mean, if you like things that way, then go for it. Or I guess that's fine if that's the kind of thing you like, might have you reviewing things much later, at home, by yourself, in the dark of night, wondering, do I actually like this? And if that's happening to you, I'm gonna let you know that it is never too late to stop, review, and rewind, especially right now during a Mercury retrograde. And so this is the perfect time for you to really think about who you're becoming as you step into this role. And do you like it? Are there certain things you'd like to shift so that you can actually be more of who you are, have some more creativity, have some more joy in your life? And if so, what are the steps you need to take in order to do that? I promise you, you don't need to let anything go in order to step into a new iteration of self. Sometimes all you need is to recognize which patterns are driving you farther away from yourself and fix them, tune them back in, and do a little better for yourself first. Good luck. Con mucho amor. Aquario. Even though you're optimistic about your plans for next year, I see that there are some clouds brewing on the horizon. There's a little bit of anxiety about your plans for next year and a lot of doubts about whether you're moving in the right direction. I highly suggest you take some time to sit with this and talk about it with people who you trust before you go and communicate it to people who depend on you, like your coworkers or a superior or a boss. So this week, especially if you're having a lot of doubts about the direction you're headed, take a break, pull yourself back, and redefine what you value. This is where your answer is going to come from. It's not going to come from this horoscope because I don't know you individually and I can't tell you whether you're taking the right path, But what I can tell you is that if you know what you value, which can be so many things. We in capitalist societies tend to think that everybody just values cash. But honestly, for a lot of us, you can value intimate connections, you can value creativity, you can value freedom, you can value being able to travel, you can value so many things. You can value where you live, how you work, how many hours a week. There are so many things that you want to define for yourself now so that you know whether the next step that you're planning in your job, in your career, in your vocation, in your creative practice is in line with that value. So make sure this week to talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to people you trust, and make sure that you for yourself know what that value is, and then you can fact check that plan with your value. Does it line up? Does it not line up? Where can I make some adjustments so that I feel like I'm still moving in the direction of the way that I actually want to grow as a person? And once you have that in place, then you can go and communicate that to people that depend on you. By the end of the week, you're probably going to be having this conversation, so I suggest you do this self-inventory early. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Pisces. For you, during this particular week of the Mercury retrograde cycle, there is a lot of social pressure coming from people in your life who think they know who you are, but they really don't. And unfortunately, because us Piscean people can be really sensitive and really permeable with our boundaries, it might be really difficult to figure out where you start and where the projection begins. Where other people's ideas and expectations of you stop, and where you can say, no, this is clearly who I am, and who you think I am is not what's actually happening here. This might be really difficult right now, especially because you're going to get a lot of feedback from other people about your particular process. People who've been watching you on Instagram, on social media, on Facebook, develop as a person, have their own particular opinions about your development, which don't necessarily line up with your ideas about yourself. And instead of giving into doubt or literally self-doubt and not being able to fully define yourself as who you are, separate from this social image that is being crafted for you by all these viewers, these people that you don't even know, who are watching your feed, watching your Instagram, watching your Facebook, and giving you their opinions in real life, which can be really distressing. Instead, take some time, hang out with the folks that know you for the long term. The ones who've been here before the social media, the ones who will be here after the social media, the ones that you trust to reflect for you your values and who you really are, and the ones who remind you of who you are in this place. Because that is the kind of connection that you need this week in order to feel grounded, especially if you start feeling overwhelmed by the social projections in this moment. And if you're feeling extremely overwhelmed by it, do what I do. Turn off all the notifications and stop getting feedback from all these programs that don't really give you any real connection, because this is what you're seeking right now. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor.